Jim Heath, a.k.a. the Reverend Gordon Heath, and we're surviving Rocklahoma.
What is up, my fellow rockers? Welcome to Surviving Rocklahoma. I am your host with the locks that rocks, Adam Richmond, and you have found yourself amid the live stream of Rocklahoma's official podcast. Now, it's not quite Rocklahoma season yet. So, we upscaled things a little bit thanks to all of y'all's support. So, we went and wintered in the Florida Keys, darling. And we went, whatever. Anyway, so we went to the Florida Keys this past week. And I'm going to bring you a little bit of our trip, what we ran into down there, who we ran into down there. I've even got a taste of what we got to experience down there in Key West at the southernmost tip
Giggity.
of the United States. Yes, that's right. We were in Key West. Now, before we get to that, we're also going to afterwards, we're also going to be talking about Rocklahoma. Today's a big day for Rocklahoma 2023. I'll remind you what today is all about in regards to that road to Rocklahoma. And yes, we're also going to feature somebody that is near and dear to our hearts at the Rocklahoma, especially if you went last year. And before we do any of that, we are going to go ahead and pay homage to our sponsors. First up, I want to give a huge shout out to DEB Concerts, who answers the question, what do you want to do with your life?
I want to rock!
And Rocky does. Rocky has done all of last year. Not only did he bring us Lamb of God and Megadeth and In Flames, but he also brought us OGs in Snoop Dogg and Ice Cube and Warren G. We also got some Poison this fall. Now, also, don't forget that DEB Concerts is the folks who put on the DEB Concert stage within the Roadhouse at Rocklahoma. Now, I've had a lot of folks asking about submitting to play Rocklahoma. Well, unfortunately, the thing is, I'm not somebody that's able to make those calls, but I do know that DEB Concerts had a submission window for, I believe, just a couple of weeks at the beginning of this year. That window has closed as for submitting for your band to play Rocklahoma 2023. So when it comes to Rocklahoma this year, it's just you're going to be going as a festival guest attendee. Unless, there's some music going on in the campgrounds, then, you're still going to have to buy your passes, but you may still be able to perform somewhere. You never know what's going on. I see my co-hostess with the mostest, Christy Gross, is in the comments. So, you know what? The brainchildren of Camp Mardi Gras is right here in the live stream. What's up, Heath? I see Fallon as well. What is up? Lori, who says, hola. To Lori, I say, hola, senorita. ¿Cómo está? All right, so with that being said, we are also going to move on to our other sponsor, At Your Service Rentals. And they keep those shitters from getting full. They are your official supplier of portable restrooms for Rocklahoma, and you can even get your own portable restroom at the Rocklahoma Music Festival Labor Day this year. If you would like your own personal restroom for your campsite, these are the folks you want to call. That is aysrentals.com. You can also check them out on all of the social media platforms. I know they're on Facebook. But also make sure that you are following this show in the weeks leading up to Rocklahoma, because we have been known to give, a shitter or two away. Well, a shitter rental anyway. So we'll let you borrow some shitters, and you want to pay for them. You never know. And last year we gave away a couple of RV services. So even if you don't need your own portable restroom, but you got a camper, well, we give a couple of those away too. Now, speaking of giveaways, this is another one of my favorite parts of this next sponsor, and that would be Camp ROK-A-VET. Now, over the last couple of years, we have facilitated giving away over 67 passes to not only Rocklahoma, but also Born and Raised Music Festival and other concerts throughout the year. And that's what these folks live for. They want to give the gift of medicine and reward our proud servicemen and women who have served, or continue to serve our country. And that's Camp ROK-A-VET. They are an aspiring non-for-profit group. They don't pocket any of this, folks. Now, they do various fundraisers throughout the year. And all of that money goes to buying these festival passes, to which they give away to veterans. We also had a couple of guitars, one of which was donated by Camp ROK-A-VET, and we got signed by almost a dozen Rocklahoma 2022 artists. We've still got to give those away, folks. I'm not going to charge you for them. Some of the names on these guitars, well, those guitars went to auction for, thousands of dollars. And as much as I love seeing them over here in my office, I want to know that they went to somebody that went to Rocklahoma 2022, and they're going to be a centerpiece of a collection, and that they're going to get passed on. Because realistically, how many of us are able to buy, guitars signed by dozens of signatures? Well, I can't. But we're going to pass that on to you guys through this show. We're figuring it out. I'd like to do a live concert at some point this summer, built around artists that signed these guitars and played last year, and give them away there. Now, if we can't do that, well, we're going to come up with something even better. And I'm open to suggestions. How would you what do you think would be a fair way to give everybody an opportunity to win these guitars that Angel and myself took all around Rocklahoma 2022, getting signed by those artists? You can shoot me your suggestions to survivingrocklahoma@gmail.com, or you can drop them right there in the comments. Speaking of comments, I'm going to go back to the comments. Let's see who is in the comments. And please, y'all, let me know how you guys have been doing over the last couple of weeks. I missed you guys so much last week. I know that I did a live stream, but I feel like I've been gone forever. I know we didn't do one this week like I had hoped. There we go. I think I got us. There we go. There's our comments. Look at you, folks. Hey, Chris. Yes, screw this Oklahoma bipolar weather, right? Hey, Oklahoma weather.
Move this man!
Yeah, that's what I say to that. What is up? Eric Anthony and Sparrow are both in the house. Most of my Rocklahoma friends know by my hubby ring his chemo bill. Congratulations, Sherry. Hey, this one's for you. Come on, everybody, give some love right there. That's freaking awesome. Congratulations, Sherry Robertson. Most of my Rocklahoma friends know by my hubby who rang his chemo bell. Congratulations. Fallon is asking if we are stocking up on that fireball. Did you guys see that article? All right. Well, before we get too distracted by what's going on in the comments, let's go ahead and get into the show. Now, we paid homage to the sponsors once again. Thank you, folks. If you would like to sponsor this podcast, well, you can do so by emailing survivingrocklahoma@gmail.com. And with that being said, what do you say we do what we do each and every week? I've missed the mark the last couple of weeks, so forgive me. So get your refreshments or whatever your libations are this evening. We paid the bills. Now let's go ahead and have a toast. Cheers, yo. All right. Cheers. And congrats on kicking cancer's ass. Scott Bond of the Outlaw Devils hanging out with you tonight. Thank you, Scott. Welcome to the comments and welcome to the show. All right, folks. Now, like I said, I've spent the last day, myself and a great colleague that I picked up this year at Rocklahoma 2022, who did a stellar job that last festival, joined me as we went on a cross-country trek to Key West, Florida. Let me tell you all something. This was all of the 26-hour drive that we forecasted. Now, what we did, we tried. Unfortunately, our trip got delayed by a couple of days. Our campsite that we had secured fell through, and we had to pivot. Now, everything on the island is extremely expensive. So what we ended up doing is cutting our trip about 2 days short in order to stay on budget, and we got ourselves a houseboat that I dubbed the Rock Yacht. I'm probably the only one who called it that, but you know what? It was the Rock Yacht to me. So, anyway, we got on this beautiful boat. Now, so what we did is we gave ourselves 3 days to travel. The first day we traveled about 12 hours. The second day we did a full day of travel, guys. It was unreal. Now, the funny thing about the trip is the trip down there, all of Alabama and all of Georgia were both just covered in fog all day. So it was an extremely boring drive. Now, fortunately, we heeded our own advice and we got to know our traveling partners. We had never spent this much time together in one spot. So we were both kind of daunted, but however we did previously prepare for this trip by sharing our, what kinds of music we like, what bugs us, what we prefer, all of this stuff. So we had a game plan ready, and honestly, great communication and a similar mindset and just this thirst for this opportunity that we've been given gave us a problem-free trip the entire drive down there. So once we got down to Key West, Florida, the festival was just insane. Now, I didn't know what to expect from Rock Island because I'd never been there before. This festival is 2 years old. And because it's 2 years old, I didn't have a lot of pictures, you know what I mean? I found what I've seen on the internet, but I've saw some great lineups. And let's be honest, it's Key West, Florida. I mean, it's freaking paradise down there. So after we had some really good successes and good working relationships with folks that are affiliated, not only with Rocklahoma, but apparently also affiliated with Rock Island as well, we were able to request media access, and that was fortunately granted. So when they said, yeah, sure, come on down, Val, where there's a will, there's a way. So we made this cross-country trek, and we got some stellar stuff for you all tonight. Well, not tonight, excuse me, but on this trip. Now, Rebel Angel, my photographer from Photography by Angel Lee, well, she's got some amazing shots. She was showing me some samples along the way, and they are absolutely stellar. Now, the catch is we've got mountains of photos, and as I was telling her that, I was like, well, let's get a couple of each. She's like, oh my gosh, but dude, it's like picking out a single sparkle out of a big mountain of glitter, because there are just such great shots in there, and the performances at that festival was just everything that I had hoped they would be. Now, and in terms of size, that festival is a little bit on the smaller side, and I don't mean that as in a lack of attendance. I mean that as in the scale of the facility. I would compare it to a little bit bigger than the reserved seating at Rocklahoma. Probably, I'd say 100 foot, maybe 200 feet beyond that. That's about how big the park of the Truman Amphitheater is. And these bands, they did rock it. Now, most of these bands are acts from the 70s and 80s. However, most of them, man, they still got it. And a lot of them had almost all of the original lineups. We have obviously some of them that's been around for better part of 30, 40 years. They're going to have some changes throughout the years, but the spirit is still very much there, as it was with the crowd as well. Now, it's not exactly the crowd we are used to in the Rocklahoma standpoint, where we are just wild and crazy and we crank it up to 11 and go all out. That's not really the kind of crowd it is. However, these folks were very much feeling the music, as some of the great images caught by our photographer. We will be having all of those photos that we captured along the way. They will be going to survivingrocklahoma.com in the weeks to come. We will also have more coverage of that music festival on that same website. I just posted a blog yesterday covering the trip, and then today, about 2 hours before showtime today, I dropped a blog covering our first day and getting into the first taste of Rock Island 2023. Now, before we move on to the next segment, let's go ahead and go back into the comments. Mistakes were made. Yes. Connections. Thank you, Sherry. Yes, I do see Chris Bocock in the comments. I love it. Alrighty, folks. Now, one more note on the Rock Island experience. Now, I did want to touch base on the local community. Now, as we all know, with Rocklahoma, it is very much ingrained in the local community. I know that the city of Pryor sends volunteers to Rocklahoma where they get a free admission for the day that they work, and then they can kind of, almost get a free pass for the days that they volunteer. On top of that, there's a huge, thriving local music scene that is buzzing and buzzing and buzzing, and they get a lot of opportunities to participate either as a band on the DEB concert stage or on some of the more low-key campground stages in those campgrounds. And in the off years, the Rocklahoma community really supports our local musicians by going to the local venues and sharing their music and all of these other things. And I really very much feel that Rocklahoma is a huge part of that local rock music scene. So I really wanted to see how that translated in Key West around Rock Island. Now, we did have a lot of conversations with the locals around there, both with those we caught rides with, the local wait staff who worked the bars, even some of the local bands, and we also talked with a lot of the folks that were working the venues. And everybody around there loves this Rock Island Music Festival. And the funny thing is, they're even bigger than Rock Island is happening right now this very week at Mile Zero, which is kind of similar to something we run into a couple of weeks after Labor Day with Born and Raised, which joined the prior lineup the year before last, with the inaugural Born and Raised. Now, this will be the third year for Born and Raised, and we'll see how much it grows compared to Rocklahoma, because let me tell you guys, each and every year in those campgrounds in Born and Raised, the 2 years I've seen them, it's back building, and it's going to be something that is going to be completely mind-blowing. You guys are just not ready to see how they do it. I know we've had a lot of folks that think, oh, it's so quiet, it's so quiet, it's so quiet. No. They're just trying to figure out where they can party and how they can what they can do without getting in trouble. It's a very respectful crowd, and that's something I do love about the Born and Raised Music Festival. And it was very similar at Key West, Florida, with the Rock Island. Everybody there just absolutely loves the facilities, and the island life around there is very much ingrained in the culture, music, and just a very laid-back, chill vibe. I absolutely love it, and I really do hope to come back next year for Rock Island 2023. Now, if you would love to see or hear more of my adventure this past week, then head on over to survivingrocklahoma.com. I'm going to be dropping more blog posts throughout the week detailing our trip down there and back. We're also going to be seeing where some of these contacts and leads that we made on this trip pan out. Hopefully, we're going to get us some exclusive interviews. Now, I do know for a fact that one national artist that we had the fortune of partying with that last weekend, they're going to be on the show here in the next couple of weeks, and we will give you more of that information as I get things secured and scheduled. Now, speaking of the folks that we did meet down in Key West at Rock Island 2023, we met a local band, well, local as in they're in Florida. And this band, when I saw them at the Smokin Tuna Saloon, they just absolutely blew my mind. They owned that crowd. And these crowds were just absolutely enthralled in this band. Nothing but energy and musicianship. And oh my gosh, what a show. So much of a show that the band is named after it. Ladies and gentlemen, That Arena Rock Show.
sniffing around it all. In the silver night, I feel my heart pumping. Never told me you gotta have more. See the full moon rise, telling me what's in store. My heart's so aching, my body's starting shaking, and I can't take no more. No, no. I just wanna get close to you. Taste your love so sweet. And I just wanna make love to you. Feel your body heat. In the silver night. In the silver night. Over here, baby. The heat of the day, hit my head down low, hide my face on the sun. The light of the day till the evening time, I'm waiting for the night to come. Ooh, baby. In the silver night, in the cool moonlight, I feel my heart silver night. Can't keep away. Can't keep away. Can't keep away. No, can't keep away. No. You gotta give me love. Gotta give me some loving every day. Can't keep away. No, I can't keep away. Telling me you gotta have more. Ooh, mama. I just wanna get close to you. Taste your love so sweet. I just wanna make love to you. Feel your body. In the silver night.
right? And that was That Arena Rock Show Band. We bumped into these guys at Smokin Tuna Saloon in Key West as we were at one of the pre-parties, one of the kickoff venues before the Friday night we spent at Rock Island Music Festival 2023. Now, we got some amazing photographs of that band, and they were very much happy to have us play their music right here. So if you would like to hear from that band, well, here's what you got to do. First of all, you got to tag them right here in the comments at That Arena Rock Show. You also got to go over to their Facebook page and give them some love and check out their YouTube videos, because you think these guys are great in video. You should see them in person. So thank you again, once again, to That Arena Rock Show. We hope you all loved them here on this stream. Now, if you would like to have your music featured right here on Surviving Rocklahoma, well, it's very easy to do. All you got to do is send me an email. That would be at survivingrocklahoma@gmail.com. Now, I also want to talk a little bit about Rocklahoma. So here's the thing with Rocklahoma is, yes, it is still all of 8 months away. Now, it is also a time where a lot of us who go all out for that music festival start planning. But today is also a very special day, because as of right now, it is 9:35, January 30th. You have 25 minutes to go to the website. If you have RSVP'd or you expressed interest in renewing your Rocklahoma 2023 tickets, you got to do that by 10 p.m. tonight. So whatever you're waiting on, you got to get it done. All right? Don't miss out, because then you're going to have to renew your same spot and passes and all of that good stuff, and fight with everybody else. So if you want, they're holding your seat for now, but you got to pay them. If you don't, somebody else is going to come get your spot. Now, this is the great thing. If you did renew and you renewed early and you checked that little box that you wanted to upgrade, if anybody doesn't renew, now you have a chance to get their spot and move your reserve seating forward, or move your campsite closer, or whatever reason you would like to change. That's your chance to do it. Now, with that being said, now the unofficial stuff that's going to be going around, the things in the campgrounds. Well, there's all kinds of cool events and shenanigans and festivities that are being planned and brainstormed as we speak. And over the next couple of months, we're going to be bringing a lot of those organizers, those planners, those people that are extra ass fudge, and we're going to bring them onto the show, and we are going to be talking about what goes into planning, what they want you all to know as far as what they are going to be doing for you in terms of party. I know Big Old Bus is going to be back, the two-time Rocklahoma Campgrounds MAP Best Campsite Trophy winner, the Big Old Bus, and they've also merged with Camp ROK-A-VET, or joined up. I'm not sure exactly what all's going on, so they're getting bigger and better. Now, speaking of the Rocklahoma Campgrounds MAP Best Campsite Contest, you know what? The campgrounds are extremely diverse. It's just so hard to say, all right, my favorite is that site. That was site. Well, that site has some cool stuff. Some good stuff. We're going to do categories this year. So we're going to do some categories, and we're going to do more stuff hosted through survivingrocklahoma.com rather than putting it on Facebook. Hopefully things will be a lot more stable that way. So the map is coming. It is a very, very complex, a very detailed thing. So it takes a lot of time. So I'm finishing up on all of this Rock Island content. So we're going to get all of this stuff out so that we make sure that we make the best of the opportunity we were given, because you never know. This was very practical for us. Now, if we can start garnering a bit of a travel budget, we can start hitting festivals like these all across the country, because we got a winning formula for covering these things. Now we need some of that green. And to that, I want to thank sponsors so much. I also want to thank all of you who have sent stars over the last couple of weeks, and a special shout out to those of you who donated and bought some shirts and stuff like that, especially you, Lori, and Sean, and everybody else who took advantage of those donations in order to help fund our trip and get us back safely and without breaking our credit cards. So with that, those shirts are probably going to start going out within the next day or two. I've got to run to the post office as soon as these roads thaw out. Now, also, yes, going back to where we were talking about, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to start featuring more of our Rocklahoma people, our local planners and party people. I don't know I can't think of the term right now, but the folks that always show us a good time in those campgrounds. We're going to start having more of those folks on the show. We're also going to be milking some of these contacts that we've been making at the last couple of festivals, see what kind of national artists we can get on the program as well. And also be sure that you are checking out that YouTube channel so that you can see more coverage from Rock Island Music Festival. Now, if you just want to hear the story of our adventure in this past week, well, the website survivingrocklahoma.com is also the best place to do this, because we're going to have a blog on there, and that's just where my mind runs wild. And for any of you trying to keep up with that, I wish you the best of luck. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Now, before we go any further, let me check into the comments real quick. Wow, thank you, Steve. I appreciate that, Steve. You are as well, buddy. We got to work together soon. Yes, Christy, thank you. That is great. Yes, the show, Party Planners plus Immortal Thing. Got a little swag ready to rock at Flocking, but I think the boys need what I ordered too. All right, folks. Well, I see a lot of folks loving that we're going to be getting back to the campgrounds. Well, as you guys know, that's what's coming in the next couple of weeks. We've also got some live shows that are going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks that we are going to start refocusing here back at home, because that's what we do here. It is loud, local, and live. Now, speaking of, I want to give some radio play to some cats that played at Rocklahoma 2022 last year. Now, I don't know why I didn't sit down and record an interview with these guys, because we were literally bumping into each other every 15 minutes as Angel and I bounced around backstage chasing signatures and meeting all of these wonderful artists and getting their stories. Now, this band are, they're working cats, man. They just love music. They love to play, and they just love everything that goes with doing what they do. Now that I'm done gushing, we're going to feature them, and straight off of the DEB concert stage, Rocklahoma 2022, here's Even in Death. And that was Even in Death with Fire Your Guns. If that didn't get your head banging, well, maybe you should be auditioning for The Walking Dead. Maybe one of the new spin-offs or something. Because, guys, I tell you that I absolutely love that band. They were so fun to be around. And this new track is just got me so ready for this coming year. Now, this year's Rocklahoma, they haven't done the lineup yet. They haven't announced it yet. However, they did announce a band, a headliner, and it was none other than the almighty Pantera. Now, I know that's going to be controversial to some, and if you don't like it, I said I got 2 words for you. Fuck it. And I'm going to throw in...
Who's this man?
Now, aside from that, yes, we are going to have Pantera led by Phil Anselmo, and we are also going to have guest filling in with some Zakk Wylde. So, I mean, how can you go wrong? And I don't know about you guys. Well, I was never fortunate enough to see Pantera, and I was never one of the folks that called myself a super fan or any of that. I know I lost my metal card million times whenever I couldn't pass the heavy metal test when it comes to anything regarding Pantera. But I more than respect their contributions to heavy metal. And I've been binging lately, especially on the ride back, because I gotta prepare. And I am so ready to catch Pantera this year at Rocklahoma 2022. That's the big announcement so far. If you haven't done so, you got like 9 minutes. Go get your renewals sent in before you lose your spot at this year's festival. Now, I featured a couple of bands here. I want to once again give a huge thanks to Even in Death and That Arena Rock Show for allowing us to feature your music right here on the podcast Surviving Rocklahoma, which now has grown beyond the borders of the tri-state area. You know, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, and Kansas. Take that. See, C's do get degrees. That's the part of geology. I still said that wrong. Anyway, well, this is why I didn't get the degree. Anyway, we have marched our happy butts all the way across to the coast in Daytona Beach and spread the Surviving Rocklahoma message, as well as farther down all the way to the tip of the United States in Key West, Florida. So Surviving Rocklahoma has now officially covered a quarter of the continental United States of America, and I want to thank each and every one of you guys for being a part of that and supporting it, because it's not without that support we could not have done any of this. So whenever I say I'm not surviving Rocklahoma, you are surviving Rocklahoma. Every one of you guys who tune into this live stream and support us on all of those social media outlets and streaming services at wherever you're getting your podcasts. Now, if you would like your music featured right here on this show, very easy to do so. Just submit your music and you can do so. survivingrocklahoma@gmail.com. What's that, you say? You're going to be playing in the area? Well, submit your gigs as well. We got to let everyone know where you're going to be playing so we can get out there. This Rocklahoma community, not only is it one of the most supportive rock music communities, but we also love an excuse to everybody be at the same venue at the same time so that we can all rock out and party together. And it's just like a big family reunion. And that kind of stuff happens by submitting your gigs right here to survivingrocklahoma@gmail.com so that I can feature you right here on the show as I did the 2 that we featured tonight. And if everybody likes what you're playing, we'll circle back, we'll get an interview, and we'll learn what goes into making that music. Now, if you would like to see some of the interviews we've done over however long we've been doing this show, over 7 years now. You can go and find us on YouTube. We've got the Surviving Rocklahoma Live is now live streaming on YouTube at the same time, and Twitch as well. We're also going to have all of our interviews, and I've got some interviews coming up here in the coming weeks. I got to send those emails out tomorrow. And however you're catching us, on whatever platform or streaming service you're checking us out on, please hit that like, follow, and subscribe button. But you know what, folks, that does it for me. Let's go to the comments one last time before we get in here. There's this, April Moore is in the comments talking about there's this whole history of videos Pantera released of their backstage and tour bus antics. I highly recommend finding them and watching them. Good to know, April. Eric, my fingers and crossed for Sleek Token, Nothing More, and Ice Nine Kills to come back and put them at night. I commend them for the sets they played in that heat last year. I agree. What's up, Brandy? I see Chris. And yeah. So I want to thank each and every one of you guys for joining us. Eric Anthony of Infall, thank you so much for those stars. Let's see who else. Thank you all for those stars. Those stars are your digital currency. That's how we do cyber tips around here on the streaming world. So until next time, folks, I want you guys to be sure you check out Surviving Rocklahoma, where I can regale you with tales of my trips to the ocean and back. And you never know, you need to hear this story about me catching a giant 12-inch flying. But you're only going to find that on survivingrocklahoma.com. Until next time, guys, as always, rock on.